don't like me using the apartment pool in a bikini because your husband stares, I'll make sure he never does. I live in a decent apartment complex with a shared pool. Working from home means I can slip down during lunch breaks, especially on scorching days. My go-to is a simple black two-piece, the kind you'd see at any public pool without thinking twice. Last Tuesday, I'm sprawled on my towel with a book, soaking up rays around noon. Pool's practically empty except for this middle-aged couple from across the courtyard. The woman's doing laps in her one piece while he scrolls his phone in a chair. 20 minutes later, she climbs out and marches straight over to me, dripping everywhere. Excuse me, honey. I don't mean to be rude, but could you maybe wear something a little more modest when you come down here? My husband keeps getting distracted and it's making me uncomfortable. My brain completely short-circuited. I stammered some apology about keeping it in mind while she flashed this tight fake smile. Her husband was suddenly fascinated by the sky, the trees, literally anywhere but us. The whole thing felt off, but I figured maybe I was overthinking it. Next day, I came down in a full one piece, thinking problem solved. Wrong. She's already there with 2 other women at the patio table, deep in serious conversation. The second they spotted me, dead silence, then pointed looks, then back to whispering. My neighbor filled me in later. She'd overheard them in the mailroom that morning. Apparently, I'd been practically naked at the pool, putting on a show for the men. According to this woman, I'd been stretching and posing on purpose, completely inappropriate for a family building. They were planning to bring up a dress code at the next tenant meeting. That afternoon, I went nuclear with my coverage. Board shorts, rash guard, covered from ankles to wrists like I was going deep sea diving. The woman actually nodded approvingly, like I was a toddler who'd finally learned to use the potty. Her husband looked crushed, which honestly just proved my point. But then came the final insult. 3 days later, a printed notice appeared on my door from concerned residents. Pool users needed to maintain appropriate standards of dress out of respect for families and children. Revealing swimwear was making residents uncomfortable. Everyone should cover up appropriately. Unsigned, but I knew exactly whose handiwork this was. That's when I remembered something from my move-in day. The property manager had mentioned pool maintenance requirements and safety inspections. Plus, there'd been something in the tenant handbook about pool regulations and liability. Time for some research. Our county has seriously strict rules about shared residential pool facilities. I called the health department and filed a complaint about potential safety violations. I mentioned the pool equipment looked dated, water had been cloudy lately, and some tiles around the edge seemed loose and hazardous. Oh, and I wasn't sure about those required safety inspections. The inspector showed up 2 days later, spent an hour examining everything, taking water samples. Chemical balance was actually fine. Tiles were just cosmetic. But here's the kicker. The pool safety equipment was completely outdated and certification had expired 6 months ago. Property management got slammed with a notice requiring immediate code compliance. Pool closed for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of installing new safety equipment, updating filtration systems, getting everything recertified. 3 weeks during the worst heat wave of summer. I got front row seats watching that same woman standing by the chain link fence, looking absolutely miserable in 95-degree weather. When the pool finally reopened, guess who was first in line? Me, in my original black two-piece. The complaining woman and her wandering-eyed husband were nowhere to be found. My neighbor told me later they'd been whining to anyone who'd listen about the ridiculous overreaction that killed their pool access during peak summer. She wanted to solve her husband's wandering eye problem. Mission accomplished. Now when he looks out their window, he sees me doing laps in the exact same bikini that started this mess.